Yo, what's going on, guys? Sorry for the delay on this video, but of course, as always, we got to talk about the coach search. It seemed at first, and this is part of the reason why I waited, because it seemed like it might have been quickly handled, as Willie Green was the favorite due to their relationship previously. And then that was shot down. They're staying with the Pelicans, or Willie is staying with the Pelicans. So my colleague at Hoopsite put together some prospects, or I guess candidates, for who could be the head coach. Let's get right into them and discuss them. And let me hear your opinions down below in the comments section. Who do you think is going to be the coach and why? Now, I do believe that one of the more interesting things about this coaching search is they kind of need someone who's going to be a vocal leader or a leader of men. And clearly, that was something Mr. Mike Budenholzer lacked. And I know Mike Brown and Jared Dudley, according to Hoopshype, is part of that coaching search as well. We both know who Mr. Mike Brown is as a coach. I want to hear your thoughts about that. James Borrego is another one. I do want to say with Jared Dudley, he might be a little too green as a coach for a team that has title aspirations, and he isn't really like been heralded as a wonderkin. So I'm interested by it. And James Borrego was someone. So these are the guys that were listed. Jared Sweeney, or my apologies, Sean Sweeney is an assistant with Jared, and he's another option there. But I would say the top three candidates, as I had a typo, is Johnnie Bryant, Ben Sullivan, Chris Quinn. Is Johnnie Bryant's with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Ben Sullivan and Royal Ivey are with the Rockets. Chris Quinn's been a favorite for a lot of people, but I kind of believe there's a possibility that Miami, maybe within the next 5 years, Eric Spoelstra pulls. I mean, if they somehow win a championship, I think Eric Spoelstra will pull Brad Stevens, become like an executive, and Chris Quinn gets the job. Now, look, they need a fresh voice. And this coach has to be able to establish a winning culture, improve the offense and the defensive schemes, maximize the roster by optimizing it, and be able to have Devin Booker buy in. So we'll go Johnnie Bryant. He's Donovan Mitchell's boy. And I think the only way Donovan Mitchell would be cool if his boy left was if he was to become a head coach. And he's helped Kenny Atkinson guide the Cavaliers to the East's best record, 64-18, and have a strong reputation around the league for player development. Most notably was Donovan Mitchell, and he's a Quinn Snyder coaching tree. His ability to connect with players and help develop them could be huge, especially that they're going to have to develop young guys immediately if they're going to still have to fight the salary constraints that are accompanied with being a second apron team. Next up, Royal Ivey, former NBA player. He's actually the South Sudan Olympic head coach, and he was a defensive specialist in the NBA. He's a defensive coordinator, basically, as an assistant coach, and has actually ties with Kevin Durant. So if they're trying to keep KD, Ivey is going to be a guy who's going to come in, build a tough, cohesive culture, and he's the type of leadership you would want the Suns to bring in if they're not going to do much retooling of the roster and hoping to have a coach come in and sharpen their defense, which is arguably the biggest area of need. Ben Sullivan has been heralded as a Celtics kind of whiz kid, as he's been under Ime Udoka, Joe Mazzulla, Greg Popovich, and now Ben Sullivan is someone that I think is the next Boston assistant that people are interested in. He's now in Houston. He followed Ime Udoka. He stayed 1 year with Joe, and he brings championship experience actually from that 2021 Bucks team. Guess who's the coach of it? Mike Budenholzer. So that's the one thing that they might not want to get someone from like that lineage, as he's a renowned shooting development coach who's been able to be adaptable to schemes, work with multiple coaches, as we see right here. Ime Udoka, who's from the Spurs lineage, Mr. Joe Mazzulla, who's a Brad Stevens guy, analytics background, three-point shooting, and Mike Budenholzer, who was the last coach. Chris Quinn, former NBA player, product of the famed Miami Heat culture. I actually see him at practice all the time. He's always there. Clean cut, nice guy, like an inch taller than me. He's known as like a detail-oriented guy. He was a good defensive player off the bench, role player, and he would be the young guy that I'd be cool with giving an opportunity to. And the only coach that I don't have listed or we haven't mentioned all here is the guy that they probably regret letting walk out those doors. That's Kevin Young. And I don't know if Kevin Young is a great NBA coach, but he wanted to stay. Devin Booker wanted him to stay. And obviously, he got to go to the Mormon Mecca and is probably enjoying that, like he rightfully should. But is that all he wants? Would he be able to be enticed to return to Phoenix, as he was a finalist for the job before, I think Frank, right? Before he took the BYU job and the previous head coaching search. And we all know how strong his bond is with Devin Booker from their time together. He's known as an offensive creative genius. He's now had collegiate head coaching experience that will bring not only a blend of familiarity, a new perspective, and just experience that he didn't have just being an assistant. Now he's gotten the opportunity to be the one calling the shots. So I think the Suns' decision will balance on a few things. We're hearing that if they can't trade Bradley Beal, they're just going to stretch and waive him. So the other thing is, it seems like Durant's on his way out. So how do you fit or balance Devin Booker and your offense while improving the defense? What role players will you keep and elevate? Obviously, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, I think are useful guys. You need a point guard. You need to have your star buy in or your stars. And I think you definitely have to earn Booker's trust back and exude confidence. Now, I think the best guy would be Kevin Young if you could bring him in. I just think that would be good for Devin Booker if you want to keep him there. I really do believe, though, if you're going for a non-experienced coach out of the ones that we're hearing there, the only one that really intrigues me is Ben Sullivan, maybe Johnnie Bryant. Outside of that, you go for Mike Brown or James Borrego. I think you'd rather go for a known commodity that's going to demand than just be complacent. Because I also, but at the same time, I think going with a younger coach could be helpful. I really would do what like Devin Booker thinks is best. It's not that like I think Devin Booker is the greatest player in the world. I just don't think trading him would be smart because you're not going to get your return on your investment, and you might as well just build around him because that's at least like a decent, solid, decent starting point, and it should be easier than you'd think because he is a top 15 player. Now, we could argue if it's easier or not, but get a point guard, get some defense. You do a little things around the edges, and this team can at least be a playoff team. We can go from there. So let me hear your thoughts.